Say Poopy's banned out, so that's seems to be the first pick, or at least the jungler who became most relevant. It was a little surprising to see how long it took for it to get taken in game 1, but now ever since then it's almost first pick or first rotation. So with that gone, Taliyah more popular. A lot of people have been taking Taliyah. They haven't always paired her with good gank setup.
Yes.
Hopefully we see a little bit more from that in the lanes for FlyQuest.
Yeah, whether that is toucouille champion or JoseDeodo's, obviously Taliyah does want some help to really maximize her damage. Aphelios though, looks like he's coming back into the fold just a little bit, and Wukong gonna be a pretty good go-to, nice and reliable there for Pridestalker in the jungle. Yeah,
one of his most played. This split 4 games on it thus far, 2 on everything else that is closest. It's a lot of people's most played though. Wukong has been pretty good for a little bit now.
Ever since you know, talked about it as a top laner, eventually trickled down to the jungle after
a couple changes might have helped with that.
After
the whole jumping walls thing.
Double ultis, what does it mean? It means Jinx and Tahm Kench for FlyQuest. In a lot of Tahm today as well.
Pretty stable, scaling bot lane. Feels like TK's been on the rise, Jinx has been on the rise a little bit. Seen it a fair amount, saw it just in the previous game as well.
Yep.
But I'm a little disappointed because Aphromoo on Playmaker is always something I'm really excited to see. So to be on the TK, it's just not quite as cool to watch.
It says something about Afro's career that he is both known for his incredibly good engage play and also enchanters. Like, he has been around long enough that he has just performed on both classes of champions.
When you live through all the metas, suddenly you're known for everything. We see the Swain taken away by Golden Guardians. I think this, like, it just seems to be getting more and more disgusting.
This champ's nice.
I will say, so far, FlyQuest does have some better tools to deal with it. Taliyah's not super long range, but the shove back and being able to kind of pelt him, Jinx outranging him a little bit. The annoying thing about his ultimate radius is that unless you're one of the attack damage carries with a steroid that increases your range, he usually outranges you just with his ult on. And so it's very hard to attack him and not also be getting vampire, whatever the birds are going after.
I mean, the birds are one thing. The Rylai's is really hits
the Rylai
with the AD carries.
Yeah, so nice to have the Jinx in your back pocket already to kind of be able to hit him freely.
Yep, Trundle hosted Santorum because he played Viego earlier today for Team Liquid. That's 2 junglers taken away from Jose. Of course, Taliyah could be the jungler, so might be wasted, but maybe not. We'll see what happens as Renata going to continue to hit the bans here in Phase 2 alongside Licorice's Fiora. Don't want to give him that one, especially on red side. Seems pretty sensible.
Yeah, he's played it a couple times. It's looked pretty good.
And now Braum. After all these different champions for Olleh.
It's interesting because it feels like neither team is like, they both kind of have counter engage going on, but neither actually have great engage. I mean, it's basically the Wukong who can go in first for either of these teams thus far. The other one's name is TK, now you got Braum. Swain is like a mid liner. You know, there's front liners and divers and people who go in, then there's the back line who obviously are just going to sit there and free hit, and then he's kind of in the middle where you want to end up between the enemy team's back line and their front line, so you're kind of hitting everything at once. The problem is FlyQuest doesn't have anyone until they just took the Lee Sin here that really wanted to go in. So now it's a little surprising to see the Lee Sin picked into Braum. It can be frustrating sometimes if you have an ultimate time to knock you up as you're trying to start your insect combo, but JoseDeodo's confident.
Certainly is. Definitely a champion he has a ton of games on throughout his career. Last pick though, they were debating Gwen before, decided to take jungler instead, maybe wanted a little bit more time to converse. But Gwen is going to be the pick there for Philip. We know Gwen can be quite good in both side lanes and in team fights, but it is not a classic tank, let's say, if they're really trying to go all in on 5v5.
Yeah, and it also is the first time Philip will be locking this one in, so his Gwen play will be under the test.
Ooh. Love a good Licorice counter pick on red side. Has played it once already. He did not win from memory.
We did not have a ton of Kayle thus far. There was this one. There was, I think, a Fudge had a Kayle game.
Yep.
And now we're going to be getting, I think it might be only the 3rd Kayle of the split. I'd have to double check that. But second one for Licorice, at least.
That's fine. Licorice, once upon a time, was in Philip's position somewhat. Younger, rookie top laner.
I appreciate that Philip, despite being a younger rookie top laner, has not shied away from skill matchups and carry champions so far. And I think he's impressed people more or less. You know, not like his laning phase is dominant or anything, but he's able to execute in the mid to late game situations where you could argue that's more important and also maybe a little bit harder to learn. You know, your laning will get better as you just play better players, as you spend more time in scrims against these top teams and stuff, moving up through the ranks. Learning when to go in and being confident enough to do that on stage is more difficult. So I think
we'll see. We'll see. I know MarkZ loves that one.
No, I do not.
Just signing you up for stuff you don't like is Golden Guardians.
I don't want this.
Out onto the Rift versus FlyQuest for our final game of the day. Should be a fun one. A bit more of a subdued draft on the Golden Guardian side, but a fun one nonetheless. Also just excited to see Taliyah mid. I feel like haven't seen that many players, although I will say AblazeOlive did look decent against Team Liquid, piloting that champion.
Got a sweet 26 seconds into the game before our first pause hit. Pridestalker with the chat update. Always shout out the jungler homies. He's not here in person to cheer for this one, but he let us know it's top microphone issue.
Top mic diff?
Yeah, Licorice, I guess, forgot to plug in his headset.
Ah.
Unlucky.
A classic.
I don't know if that's true or not, but everyone should pretend it is.
Is this like it's like when you're trying to clutch an FPS game, trying to clutch in Valorant, you have to mute all your teammates. Maybe Licorice just forgot to turn the setting off. He's like on an island, doesn't want to interact with his team.
I mean, sometimes you might be doing some 1v1s beforehand. You know, you're
hit the little button, mute the team.
Yep, got to undo that now. As we see, like you said, a bit more subdued of a draft from Golden Guardians. There's so much time spent by the Endless Deaths hyping up their drafts. I was hyping up their drafts. And this one, at least there is some interesting stuff. I think the Kayle is something to keep your eye on, but it's not necessarily something that's fun to watch throughout the entire game. It does have that very slow ramp-up time. I've been spamming ARAMs recently. I ended up with Kayle a couple times.
How'd that go for you?
It's miserable. You feel so useless early. So, yeah, we'll see how Licorice does.
Well, in his own little ARAM in the top lane, 1v1ing up against Philip, who does have the Ghost. Should be a fun little matchup to watch play out. Two NA top laners who have been quietly pretty decent so far this split. I think Licorice moving to this team made a big difference in his play. So, and Raz, especially on the desk, was harping how he's definitely not afraid of these kind of matchups. So fun to see him counter-picking Philip here, although Philip's going for it at level 1, just straight past the shrubbery.
Yeah, and solo queue-wise, Diamond Plus, 60% win rate for Kayle into Gwen.
Wow!
Does mean that there might be a little bit of pressure to make some stuff happen. It's interesting because normally, I think I would say like FlyQuest with the Jinx, you know, maybe they outscale. It's a little hard to tell. Swain's mid-gamey, you know, exactly. But with the Kayle in the back pocket, combined with the Aphelios, does feel like FlyQuest might want to make sure some stuff happens. And we do have JoseDeodo starting on a bot to top there, and Philip with a cute wraparound.
Yeah, around the horn here for Philip there. Gonna try this 1v1 Licorice, ignoring the wave, just like not interested. Gonna just keep attacking Licorice, and Licorice understandably losing that level 1 trade here to the Gwen.
Nice move there by Philip, starting that one out.
Finally hits a minion, gets one. He's on the board. Gonna see how long he can zone Licorice away from this, but Licorice is gonna hold on again. You definitely don't pick this matchup because, you know, you're getting a counter pick from level 1 and really smashing.
No.
Yeah, Kayle's got a vibe for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you can largely, hopefully, just survive the early lane phase without any jungler interference. You're definitely going to be chilling, and then it's very hard to actually set up ganks and kills onto the Kayle without the Gwen having any real setup for herself. And then post 6, it's very hard to dive a Kayle, obviously, and so matchup that you can hopefully just farm out now that the wave's underneath the turret. JoseDeodo does end his clear up on the top side, but probably unlikely to see too much more action up there. I don't think he's actually going to try and turn a gank, especially with Licorice putting out the heads-up ward early on.
Yeah, nice there. Philip, though, is going to chase him down, get a couple more autos in. This wave is building up, but to your point, doesn't look like Jose going to make his way up. Had an audible grow in there for the poor cannon minion that did...
-1
go
in
to
chat
the
to everyone.
Jose is actually trying this here. Oh, instead just going to cover. Maybe go for a dive. This is very aggressive from FlyQuest. But the Christian trouble. There's the flash. Philip already taking tower aggro. And a bit of an oopsie, but there's one back as Jose does at least get the trade.
Okay, might look a little troll to do the flash ward hop, but absolutely necessary. The flash didn't get in the range to get out, and the ward hop would be too slow. Probably would have taken another turret shot if he just went for that. So it looked a little funny, but they probably needed to do both those to get out. A 1-for-1, though, with first blood going over to Kayle. You're not sad at all. TP right back into the wave and just kind of keep farming up actually a bit of gold ahead of Philip now.
Yep, just kind of resetting the wave. Just Licorice has a bit of extra gold. Jose, although, is going to have some gold on the other side, so we'll see if that makes a dent in this early game as Olleh and Pridestalker are going to make sure this crab goes Golden Guardian's way.
Take another look at this one. It was a risky dive to pull off. I was surprised to see them actually go for this. Philip starting the dive at half health. Does actually start it himself by tanking the turret first. You kind of know you're killing yourself if you do that. Jose does get the kill, and there you saw after the flash still in turret range, the last shot might have gone onto him, so he does the ward hop as well, because he couldn't quite get the flash range by itself. They do get the kill, but probably not the biggest impact in the game state thus far.
Yeah, look. I would say if you went up there with the intention of diving the enemy top laner and killing them, your play was successful. So
I mean, if that's your metric, yes, you did kill him.
We're leaning optimistic today here as FlyQuest, at least up to the races early. Has been interesting to see Jose in general. He's talked about this throughout the split, but, you know, just wanting to communicate and play with his teammates more. And I think especially with a newer, younger player like Philip, not being afraid to try something very aggressive, and Philip, again, not falling back from this match despite an experience deficit. Licorice currently level 5 over Philip's 4, but Pridestalker going to be the great equalizer here in this 1v1. Spotted on a ward, though, as Philip's going to back away.
He's just going to have to back off, let this one push into him. I do like the point about FlyQuest and some of the gains that they've made over the course of this year. I think JoseDeodo has had his best year thus far in the LCS. He's been looking a lot better. I think Philip coming in for Kumo, bringing a little bit more diversity up into the top side. And just Johnsun and Aphro have been absolute studs. toucouille's been very good himself. I think it's very interesting to see how far that this team can push. We wanted to see if they could end the first round robin 6-3. That would have put them tied with teams like 100 Thieves and Team Liquid, which they ended up dropping to. Golden Guardians has been the opposite, where it's a lot of players who have been around the scene for different periods of time. Some have dropped in and out of their respective leagues. Pridestalker did premiere in the LEC back in the day before moving down to the ERLs. Obviously, Olleh, people are familiar with. A journey that has gone across the globe, played in a lot of different leagues, as we see the gank here for Jose.
Different leagues and different solo queues here, as once again, we're in top side here. Licorice, no flash from the previous attempt. Q lands, that should be a kill, and Jose gets it clean this time.
Much better kill, no trade back, punishing that Kayle after pushing in the wave. You saw Pridestalker just moved on down to the bot side of the map, and nice exploitation there by JoseDeodo finding that kill.
Yep, Philip with a nice CS lead as a result as well. Going to be about 15 or so. If one other wave comes in, Golden Guardians, of course, trading on the other side of the map because that's the sensible thing to do.
And it shows the value of repeat ganks. You kill Licorice once, it's 1-for-1 in kills. He gets the TP back under the turret, keep his farm up. The repeat gank, it's a solo queue tactic, but it also actually really works in pro play because that's the second time when you can really deny them. Or if you got them to burn their TP through trading, you know, just keeping track of that cooldown and knowing like, oh, this kill will actually set him behind a lot. And now Licorice, while 6, and Kayle is a champion that does scale a lot with levels, of course, she also does scale with gold. And so it's so far so good, shutting her down about NCS.
Yeah, see if Licorice can be safe with the flash coming back off cooldown in a couple, maybe a minute or two. And of course, having that 6, so a little trickier to dive. But I think Philip's going to be feeling comfy with the position that has been set up after this early gameplay. And Jose feeling very good. 2 kills going his way after the trade and then getting the top side one as well.
Spent a lot of time up in top lane. How's mid lane going? Even farm? Bot lane? Even farm? Not much has happened
Bottom
yet.
lane is definitely just chilling. They are farming for mid-game.
Definitely the Bedge matchup. I'm sad that there's been so many of these recently. Top lane wokage.
This is what happens when everyone picks Tahm Kench so early. Everyone just wants to trade and scale up. Mid lane has been like, every time it's gone past, toucouille's hitting like some 6 skill shots and getting some trade back. Unfortunately, in a lot of control major matchups, the like result is that you're slightly higher mana than the other guy. That's usually what happens.
I've got the mid prio now to go contest the scuttle. I will say I was watching toucouille in the lounge area. There's a, what's that game called? Hot Shot?
Oh, the basketball thing?
The basketball thing, yeah. He was looking pretty good, so his skill shots are going to be on point today.
Nice. Makes sense now. Picking Taliyah. Had the pre-game
got the flicks down.
Just pulling up. Nailing shots there. Looking good as team's going to move on down to the bottom half. No dragon available, but perhaps some invading, some vision to get done. Jose going to poke mid. AblazeOlive with heal and flash is not going to be a particularly attractive gank target, so Jose is just going to go ahead and nick a creep or two. And go ahead and move to the top side because it's Rift Herald time, MarkZ.
Yep, Rift Herald's already coming down. They see the reset out of Golden Guardian's bot lane, so Olleh's going to be up here first. The side of FlyQuest might be moving up the river right now. They do have a little bit more top control, just given the pushing advantages in top and mid, but looks like Golden Guardian's going to give that one up.
Yeah, I don't think...
oh, maybe not. Sticking around?
We'll see. Olleh just chilling, wanted to get some stacks off. It doesn't look like the contest is there. Fly also matching that roam. Aphro now sees that there's no AD, so it looks like Johnsun's going to roam back down, and Aphro gets tagged, but going to be A-OK, just miss a voyage underneath the Raptor pit and walk back down the bottom lane. It doesn't look like Johnsun's going to miss much either, as the wave is incoming back to the bottom tower, and he's going to go ahead and play jungler for a bit while he waits.
Definitely be the case. So one thing I definitely want to see is AblazeOlive start trying to get out and try and influence these lanes. Obviously, that's something that Taliyah wants to do as well. And AblazeOlive is a player who gets very, very proactive. And right now you can see him hovering around this bot side as Olleh, whoa.
Started the dive a little too early. Had 4 people pulled down, but Olleh went in very aggressively. Also had toucouille and Jose covering for that play. So deflected very easily at the end of the day there for FlyQuest. Not in trouble despite the presence Golden Guardians pulled down there. And in fact, is there a follow-up here from Olleh? Taking too many tower shots there. The ulti's going to come out. The Jinx rocket, though, is going to secure the kill for Johnsun.
toucouille with the nice ultimate, catching Olleh out without the flash available, knowing if I get on top of this guy, we can find the kill. Like you said, Johnsun from downtown sniping the kill away, but toucouille is the only one setting that one up.
I mean, we talked about, Taliyah needs some assistance there to set things up. Jinx Rocket, kind of a full
That's
gank
not
assist.
really
No?
what most people mean when
It
they
doesn't
say
play?
Taliyah setup.
Okay,
More
okay.
like point and click guaranteed
Okay.
CC, so you can land your flicks. toucouille says he doesn't need that.
No.
There's actually no point and click CC available for this team comp, so that's something that people often complain about, especially for jungler Taliyah, about wanting to show up at a lane and make a gank happen without any setup, but is the case where it's kind of calling your shots, being like, no, I don't need any help, I got this.
Yeah. I know we're in some skill shots. Definitely good memories of toucouille's LCS Syndra games. Don't see a lot of Syndra these days, unfortunately. Maybe she got a little bit better until he is going to stick around in mid lane. We might see a little bit more.
Syndra sucks, not...
Yeah, you know what? I love Syndra, and you're right. I'm sad to agree with you, but I agree. As toucouille gets the blue buff here. Thinks about the halcyon days of Syndra and goes back to mid lane.
So I do like this lane swap, moving their bot side to the top. The Dragon is in 30 seconds. They could potentially have wanted to fight that, but I think they're just saying Golden Guardians probably will not contest us on this Dragon. I think there's this feeling with the Kayle leveling up and whatnot that they might have just gone for a swap, so moving their bot lane up early, making sure that they can't just allow the Kayle to keep farming and then put their other team up there. So I do like FlyQuest almost preemptively saying swap up and try and sit on the Kayle lane to stop it from farming easily.
Smart stuff. Olleh also getting some vision down. Jose is covering. Does have the Rift Herald in hand again. Pick that up around the 8-minute mark. So maybe thinking about making a play here and then trying to get that first tower down. Obviously want to get some plates taken off the board when you have the Herald. But Jose looks like he's not going to stick around too long. As I say that, he's skipping over the brush around the Baron pit. toucouille does get dragged in, takes some burst, but looks like Pridestalker is going to match the jungle presence that they do now see, as Jose is on top of a ward right now.
Yeah, they see him out. Doesn't feel like they're trying to play too aggressive though. Just get some pressure, get some vision control down, then drop the Rift Herald. Don't think. There might be a dive. Taliyah is moving her way up the river.
Ulti almost back and available. toucouille with a good timing here. Does have the way pushed out as well. Philip still battling, but starting to feel a bit more pain in the 1v1 trades here. Licorice powering up here.
Man, it's just not... I thought for a second they might try and do a little bit more. Not the case. It is, so far, I think for Golden Guardians, an okay position to be in. 500 gold down. They are, like we said, probably the team with the scaling advantage.
Herald dropped. Do expect to be a little bit further behind off of that as Philip and Licorice still fighting. Ulti already used there for Philip. Licorice just trying to hug the wall. Counter ulti's the last need to work. And now Licorice gonna have to move back in, but everyone backs away slowly as the Herald does get some plates there over to FlyQuest.
Nice little more gold going in their pocket. No turrets fully dropped yet. Just a couple turret plates down from the top side. There's a couple in Golden Guardian's pocket as well. So far though, not too much going on.
It feels very tense in this top lane, now bottom lane matchup, but I don't think Philip's in any immediate danger. And looks like toucouille is continuing to push and move here and try and show presence.
Well, it's a nice spot for the wave to be in for Philip, given that JoseDeodo, after dropping that drop back into the bot side of the jungle, as well as anytime Taliyah dips out of lane, you have to be concerned about her showing up behind you. And it's especially annoying for Kayle, who if she ever ends up on the wrong side of the wall, obviously has to flash, no mobility. So have to be very careful when you go up to push a wave in a situation like this. But Licorice, after chunking Philip again, has him low enough that he feels like he can finally get this wave in. Probably going to go for a reset himself as soon as he finishes this off.
Yeah, TP back, I'm assuming here. Riftmaker done there for Philip. So we're going to lose a creep or two here to the turret. Jose is in the area. He's going to get spotted now thanks to that little blue ward. And in fact, they're going to swap back. Philip already TP'd back to the top lane. And Jose is trying to hunt down Licorice. Let's be a bit disruptive. Maybe make sure the wave is caught here for his bot lane, but not a whole lot he can do. That dragon, by the way, still up after that swap. But FlyQuest not interested in running over there just yet. And Golden Guardians, of course, been swapping back as well. So maybe we'll have something for the dragon here now, but teams are going to be having to set up as Licorice TP's back to top himself.
Yeah, with him TPing back top, you have to assume that this is going to be a sack by Golden Guardians. I mean, Philip did blow his TP as well to get up there, so it would be a 4v4 if they do choose to fight over this, but actually going to seed this one with JoseDeodo resetting, going back in the base. That's 2 dragons now for Golden Guardians. You gotta feel like that's a little concerning for FlyQuest. I know a lot of teams play for the gold lead and the tempo advantage, and that's why soon enough these dragon buffs will be coming in, but the developers we're talking about getting a little bit more power in them, so people will fight over them and not just sack them like that. Because obviously FlyQuest are of the mindset that we're gonna win this game through tempo, through grabbing turrets, getting gold leads, and then pressuring and winning fights, not necessarily through stacking these dragons. But does feel like it's giving a bit of a way for Golden Guardians in. 2k gold lead just before 15 minutes. Not bad, though.
Yeah, don't have infinite time on the FlyQuest side, but to your point, that lead does look pretty nice. Golden Guardians even fighting back here on the bottom side. Pridestalker here. Ultimate used by Aphro. There is a dive angle, but Johnsun with a big shield isn't diveable just yet. Jinx rockets clear the wave pretty instantly, and toucouille once again hovering to the right side. Looks like Golden Guardians don't want to overextend in that possible position. I feel like if you watch the minimap, when you see people move back in a lot of these lanes, that's the real power of Taliyah with ulti up. Because every time she leaves, everyone just freaks out. It's like when Twisted Fate leaves lane.
Definitely one of those champs where it's just like, all right, we're just going to leave this up for the rest of the game.
Hey, there we go.
The pressure, you know, just follow around with that. She is a very macro-oriented champion where you see a lot of that power come in, where you just dip out of vision or something like that. Kayle finally level 11, gets the waves now when she reaches exalted status.
Woo!
She's scaling, the time bomb ticking.
Only 5 to go. Pretty long levels, though. 11 to 16 is not the same.
It definitely slows down. Get to 6 relatively quickly. Ooh, I have range. Get to 11. Ooh, I have waves. Now I just have to hope I can actually stack it in a fight before the fight's over.
Herald number 2 also on the menu. Nice little ulti. They're cutting off 2 from Golden Guardians, but the Rift Herald's already pretty low. Olleh looking maybe to lay down a defensive ulti, and the choke does go down. Rift Herald's loose. Not sure we got it, but we'll find it in a moment because the AblazeOlive pops on in. Ulti out from Stixxay as Golden Guardians on to Philip we go. Needs to find the stun. Pridestalker with the Kayle ulti. Looking good as he spins around the team, but somehow no one is dead. And FlyQuest certainly got the Herald because Licorice and Pridestalker are trying to make sure they don't get it. Licorice gonna get popped on. The eye's still there, and surely it's gonna dissolve. Indeed does. Olleh tanks the incoming stun from toucouille, but everyone is going to live as long as Licorice can make it over. He has to flash, and Jose finds a kill on the other side. Braum going down. Kayle, though, finding a kill in the back end. Is Philip also in trouble? AblazeOlive able to pick that up, and Golden Guardian still not done. They defend the eye to the death, and Stixxay now going off as Tahm Kench has picked up 2 in that fight, but toucouille is so good on this champion, and Aphro and he are going to outplay Golden Guardians!
4 for 5. FlyQuest win that fight. They get the ace. For a moment there, I thought there was going to be absolutely nothing that happened. It was 0 for 0. The Rift Herald went down. Neither team had grabbed the eye, and I thought it was going to be a complete diffusal of the situation. But then the bomb erupted when they decided to follow over the wall, and then after that, there was always one person low enough that if I flash in, I can kill him. And it's like a chain reaction of people flashing in. The initial fight, Olleh, good job stuffing the wall, making sure that it leaves room for Licorice and AblazeOlive to kite out. If there was a wall up right there, JoseDeodo is going flying in. They have the fight split. So that wall by being stopped by Olleh was actually huge. Also allowed AblazeOlive to force out multiple members of FlyQuest into that choke point and give them control of that entrance into the river. So even though JoseDeodo is the one who grabs the Rift Herald, there's not enough reinforcements by FlyQuest to get into the river and actually grab that. They're trying so hard to get there in time, but Pridestalker blocks all of that. And here, when it finally times out, Golden Guardian's like, okay, mission done. We stopped the Rift Herald. Let's all hop out of the wall and get out of here safely. That flash follow forces JoseDeodo over, and then this is where it just keeps going in. People keep flashing in. AblazeOlive has to go in to finish off Philip. Then Pridestalker can go and try and finish off Johnsun. He ends up going down. Stixxay flashes in to finally actually get him. And it's just this, like we said, chain reaction of people dying. Nice play by JoseDeodo, or excuse me, toucouille right at the very end to carry this. We're talking about not having the setup, not needing the setup.
Taliyah is so good. Like, if you want to like study some good control mage play, watch that man in his 5K team fight. He played so well, especially towards the back end of that fight. Lots of little things you can learn. Hi, I don't know where you are, but I'm going to need some pro to pro later on.
The other thing worth noting is the time in which you hit 5K in a team fight. If it's a late game with like 3,000 health tanks or whatever, maybe not as impressive. 18 minutes in with 1 item completed, doing 5K damage over the course of that whole thing. Yeah, that's impressive.
Very impressive there as FlyQuest FTX gold advantage up to still only 2K, unfortunately. Would have loved to have the Herald, but no dice, just got a very dramatic team fight instead. 8-5 in kills. FlyQuest still ahead, but Jose looking to make the big play. Stixxay gets himself out of there though. And Jose is going to defuse the situation. Olleh did pop the ulti out defensively, but looks like it will defuse.
Yeah, not able to find the kill. Golden Guardians were not in a situation to punish either after Jose's kick did not serve up Stixxay on a silver platter. Dragon is up now. Feels like finally FlyQuest are wanting to contest one of these.
Yeah, you can see FlyQuest is very hungry to defend this next dragon. toucouille, Jose, and Philip all playing pretty aggressively. Johnsun going to move back with Aphro here into mid lane to push things out there with the Jinx rockets. Trying to find Olleh, taking a lot of damage even with Unbreakable up there. Olleh feeling the pain from the Taliyah damage there. And Johnsun also kind of letting it rip with a couple rockets. Golden Guardians, I think, a little too low to try and defend this next objective.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of that range advantage that we were talking about. Taliyah being able to kind of pelt away safely against some of the threats on Golden Guardian side. Same with the Jinx. The Kayle getting outranged, the Swain getting outranged, and you get this kind of like standoff in mid lane that favors FlyQuest right now, excuse me.
You can kind of see why Olleh's Braum is taking a beating from the enemy Taliyah, even though he's a Braum with the Unbreakable up. It's 2 items already done for toucouille. A beautiful flick to set himself up. Damage is there onto Olleh. Jose's going to make sure the kill happens. And toucouille back in again. The rocket just barely sidestepped by AblazeOlive. Nice little stop juke there of the incoming missile. But FlyQuest still get a kill and the turret. That's what they came for.
Able to continue accelerating this gold lead almost up to 4K right at 20 minutes. JoseDeodo's kick sending AblazeOlive to safety a little bit. Johnsun not able to land the rocket, but overall still another kill. Olleh had to step forward to save AblazeOlive, who was caught out of position again by the flick from toucouille. I mean, Took Nasty's having such a good game. I know on the scoreboard, JoseDeodo has more of the kills, but the two of them have established themselves quietly as one of the best mid jungles in the league. toucouille broke in, I think, last split, making third team All-Pro, beginning to get the recognition, and has largely continued this split being a huge force in the mid lane.
Yeah, been great to watch this player continue to flourish here in the LCS, and again, nice to see FlyQuest just kind of putting it all together here in summer.
And he had a really good interview, I don't know if people saw it, but by Nick Geraci, I believe you say, about how long he's been watching players in the LCS. Like Bjergsen was a huge inspiration for him, and in the interview talked about how, as someone who went through bullying back in the day, seeing him persevere and become like this historic mid laner, and for toucouille at the time, being able to look forward to that as someone who was going through his own tough time, getting bullied, and then being able to now be in a similar position, playing on the LCS stage, dominating. It's just cool to see how much influence players can have for other people watching.
Now he plays that guy pretty regularly, as it turns out. So nice come up there for toucouille. FlyQuest still trying to keep their hold on this game. As you mentioned, FTX gold advantage almost up to 4K, but Golden Guardians, you have to feel like, again, with the Kayle now level 13, creeping slowly towards Exalted. There is somewhat of a timer on this game if FlyQuest can't continue to open things up.
I think they've done a good job so far. There's always this push and pull when, like, you're going to get outscaled. What is expected of you? I think so far, FlyQuest has done that. They gave up a couple dragons that they didn't care that much about. There's almost always a reason you could at least argue they were going for the other play. And here now, with the control that they have, they can start pressuring Baron. I don't think they want to go for it quite yet. They would probably take a fair amount of damage starting that one off, but you can at least see that forces Golden Guardians to walk forward. They might end up stepping over some vision, then toucouille can land one of these, bounce the team back into the rest of his teammates and try and find a pickoff.
Yeah, as they open up on the map especially, you know, we don't talk about it too much, but obviously rank the ulti is pretty impactful for almost every champion in the game, but Taliyah wall hits different at level 16, I'll tell you that much. If FlyQuest, with an open map, are going to try and play a big macro game here with Gwen in the side lane with the TP, and toucouille also with the TP plus the wall as well. FlyQuest could really pull Golden Guardians apart, which against the Swain Kayle comp might not be a bad idea as the game goes longer.
Not bad at all. The Kayle, not too far behind the pace of the game, ended up with a handful of kills, and so while the CS is obviously not looking good in the specific Gwen matchup, the kills have largely offset that difference. As we see a bit of an all-in here.
Yeah, Phil's going for it again. Pops the ghost. Jose in the back pocket. Aphro here as well. Licorice already with the ulti pop. Pridestalker coming to reinforce. There's the flash kick into the waiting arms of Philip. And now the TP in from toucouille is Philip. Now going to kite away. That stun is good, but that flick is better. toucouille just keeps on landing the skill shots, and Aphro, he's getting in there. Aggro Tahm Kench takes down the enemy jungler. And the Jinx rocket's set enough for AblazeOlive, but that's 2 quick ones for FlyQuest.
Golden Guardians with the quick reaction with the teleports coming in, but just don't have enough damage to find either kill. Both Philip and JoseDeodo getting out with just under 20% health after finding those initial kills in the top and jungle. Now 20 seconds until Pridestalker's up. Looks like a TP coming back in onto the Baron. They want to push this as far as they can.
Yeah, there is a wall as well for toucouille, so can potentially cut off the incoming jungler. Pridestalker 10 seconds till he's back and available. Olleh going to be the target, flicks him over the rocks. Nice little trick there, and Olleh, I mean, even with Unbreakable up, he cannot take on the enemy mid lane. And again, he just keeps on hitting Olleh. Now going to be forced to flash. Stixxay does take out Johnsun though. And now Licorice is in as well. They're going to have no smite, so the Baron should go over indeed. Jose does find the smite, and Golden Guardians have to walk away.
Johnsun getting a little too cute there, throwing his traps over the wall to be like, I'm helping. Puts him in range to get burst down by Stixxay, but ultimately doesn't matter because Pridestalker's still dead, no smite to contest. FlyQuest just refocus back on the Baron, grab that one. Looks like Golden Guardians will be able to grab the Dragon in 10 seconds. Johnsun not spawning for another 12-ish now, so they should be able to grab this Dragon as a bit of a bounce back after losing Baron, but FlyQuest will be able to get their push on in just a second.
Yeah, Constellation Mountain Dragon, you'll take it if you're Golden Guardians, kind of fighting for scraps right now. But this Red Bull Baron, awfully potent by the looks of things here for FlyQuest, who, to your point, have been pushing the game in the right direction despite the potential scaling advantage of Golden Guardians. Now this game is going to be very far out of reach, assuming FlyQuest don't absolutely botch this Baron.
They shouldn't.
I don't think they will, for what it's worth.
They have good control, setting up a 4-1. Having Johnsun run down the mid lane, everyone else kind of camping in this jungle as toucouille works down the topside turret. Just finishes off that one. That's the first inner down, 2 more to go. Big agree. I assume that's about the Rift Herald fight from a little bit ago.
Absolutely. I respect it. Definitely a lot of entertainment so far this game. Unfortunately for the Golden Guardians fans, it is all FlyQuest right now. Gold lead still climbing up. 1.5 minutes left on this Baron. Jose with the thumbs up. Knows his team's looking good.
Yep, they're going to rotate down to the bot side, get this push going as well. Keeping Philip actually in the mid lane right now. I thought for sure they would keep toucouille in the mid lane so he can do the kind of roam over, same setup that they just had before, but you can see him moving down there. Can maybe find a blind flick over the walls when he can do with Taliyah here, or actually just going to use it to cut off.
Oh, nice little setup. Olleh, though, again, heads up, has the door ready to go. Philip, though, does get the tower in mid. They'll push them off despite this all. Just push past the tower, zone Golden Guardians away, who will give up as much as they can. Don't want to give it up, but, you know, if they can fight for maybe inhibitor tower, maybe keep them off potential inhibitor take, you kind of just have to pick your battles right now for Golden Guardians. Your Kayle, your team's not ready.
Do need to put up a bit of a defense, though, so they don't grab this inhibitor turret.
Oh, really? You just don't miss, huh? Aphromoo going to pick up yet another kill, but Toucouille's 7th assist of the game. Feels like he should have a few more kills, but still been putting in work for the squad as they'll break 2 different inhibitor towers open, looking to maybe get at least 2 inhibs off this Baron push.
Super clean push by FlyQuest. Toucouille with another unset up flick, finding not just the kill, but also the way into the base. It's not 10 more seconds before Olleh's up. They might try and end this game.
Oh my goodness, the tower's getting absolutely obliterated. Jose looking for the very fancy flick back there with the kick, but aren't going to grab it, but the damage should be done. Afro with the save on the ulti. AblazeOlive with the Swain ulti ticking, trying to stay alive, but the damage, the gold, the Olleh, it is too much to sustain here against FlyQuest. The respawns are coming on in. Maybe they've bitten off a little bit too much, but Toucouille's still going. Mans gets exhausted, almost bursts Olleh, flashes away from Pridestalker, who puts the clone up to just barely protect himself. And they have to leave, but they didn't want to. They wanted the game to end right there.
They went for the end. JoseDeodo, once again, could not quite find the kickback. Not having his cleanest Lee Sin game, but luckily the team is there, able to help support him. And they could not end, but open Nexus. No one's saying anything, but there's a ward right next to it. We'll see if they end up going for the tricky TP. They have 2 TPs available, so Toucouille and Philip could both go for this. If they find Golden Guardians move forward to contest this Dragon Soul point potentially for them, the Golden Guardians are definitely going to see that as a way for them back into the game. Hey, if we can win a fight and get the soul, maybe we can win. And then there's going to end up with that double TP. Calling that shot right now in the next 1.5 minutes that'll be happening. Right now, you can kind of see AblazeOlive has been hovering back there. They think they know that there's a ward somewhere there. Oh, and he finally found it.
Good reconnaissance there as the crowd outside of Braum.
I would have accused Golden Guardians of hearing me say this, but they're not in the studio. So that was actually just a heads-up play, 5-head play by AblazeOlive to say, hey, they probably dropped a ward. We don't know 100% where it is, but we need to find this and sweep it out. They do that, very smart. We'll stop the backdoor attempt, but the pressure is still on.
Yeah.
10K down. FlyQuest might not even wait for that dragon. They might just say, hey, we can brute force our way in here and just start autoing this Nexus.
And they can certainly grab 3 inhibs. So Philip going to get the wave pushed on in. I was ready to. There was going to be so much extra goofiness with Taliyah wall as people make backs and they get trapped in the fountain. Instead, it's Golden Guardians going in for it. They know they have to fight. They're 10K behind them, but have to try and make it happen. Toucouille getting grabbed up by Afro. Into stasis we go, but Philip with the flag just takes out the enemy AD carry. My man is still 1v3ing the enemy team, although it's a little too much right now, but he gets out just barely with enough health to survive. And now it's a 5v3 for the game as FlyQuest gonna absolutely sweep this one away from Golden Guardians. toucouille surfs on in for one last hurrah. Johnsun gets a kill. The last kill's in there, mind you, if they grab, but they don't need it. They'll take the Nexus Mark. FlyQuest in style with the win over Golden Guardians.
Just under 30 minutes, a dominating victory for FlyQuest, stepping up to 6-4, cementing themselves as a top half team in the league. You saw they were flirting with that 500 record, but they beat Golden Guardians. They show they deserve to be in that top half conversation, and looking really good during. You talk about Philip in that last fight, finding a nice flank when Golden Guardians try and brute force down the front part of the fight. He gets that flank clean onto Stixxay, assassinates him to make sure his team can win the game.
Yeah, you know, it's Gwen when the team's 10k ahead. Like, you can take some liberties, but a very nice angle found there for Philip. Ton of confidence to just go for it, even though they know they have an overwhelming advantage. And just a very clean game overall from FlyQuest, with some much deserved cheers.
They're such a well-balanced team. I know I was saying that JoseDeodo's kicks weren't on point, but his jungle pathing and his decision-making was still very good, attacking that Kayle early on, setting her behind a little bit, and then the rest of the team stepping up. The bot lane was not the focus. We didn't hear from them through the early parts of the game, but Johnsun and Aphromoo were super consistent. toucouille as well, largely ignored for the first 15 minutes, but then paid off in a big way at that second Rift Herald fight, excuse me. And this is just what makes them so scary right now, is it feels like at any moment, anyone could be the one making the play that wins them the game.
Yeah, and it's nice to see them only get better together, right? Like, didn't see a whole lot of Jose go top lane when Philip kind of first debuted. Now they're building a bit more synergy. In the mid game especially, lots of link-ups with Jose and toucouille. You mentioned Johnsun and Aphro have been a pretty fun duo actually to watch, and having a ton of great moments. Aphro especially on this Tahm, syncing up a lot with his different teammates in all sorts of goofy scenarios that actually paid off big in that Rift Herald fight you were talking about as well.
Yeah, I think so far, I've just been super impressed with them. I tried to gas them up last week.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're really good. They could maybe break into top three.
Yeah.
Then they had a bit of a stumble, but I still think it's a team that you should not be sleeping on at all. They could, feels like, beat anyone in the LCS when they're actually firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, super exciting team to watch. But with that, now it's time to catch up with Emily and